Michelle Obama has made a passionate speech backing her husband Barack for another 4-year White House term. Closing the first night of the Democratic National Convention, the First Lady spoke of the vision and the values that guided him as president.
As First Lady, I have had... If we want to give all of our children a foundation for their dreams and opportunities worthy of their promise, if we want to give them that sense of limitless possibility, that belief that here in America there is always something better out there if you're willing to work for it, then we must work like never before. And we must once again come together and stand together for the man we can trust to keep moving this great country forward. My husband, our president, Barack Obama. Thank you. God bless you. God bless America.
What a reception it was. Paddy Culhane's live at the DNC for us now in Charlotte, North Carolina. Who, Paddy, can top that one?
Well, the Democrats are hoping a little bit of a blast from the past can help that along. Former President Bill Clinton is going to be the featured speaker. As you know, Kamal, he is a superstar in political circles. Despite all the ups and downs of his presidency, we all know what those were, he is still absolutely loved by Democrats. Now, let's go back to 1992. He burst onto the political scene. He really rewrote the rules of presidential campaigning, and some even called him America's first black president. Here's why. That was Clinton 20 years ago on the Arsenio Hall show. Everybody remembered it. It was the very moment when it was, for the first time, okay for a president to not look presidential. He came off as hipper and cooler than George Bush. That momentum carried him all the way to the White House. And while he was in the White House, the economy was booming. And that is the message that he is going to try to send tonight to this crowd of more than 5,000, the millions watching at home, that democratic economic principles can help this economy recover. Kamal?
Okay, so Bill Clinton won over the black vote back then. Presumably Barack Obama's already done that, or to a large degree he would have. Who then is it that Barack Obama has to win over this time?
In fact, when it comes to the black vote, there was one poll that showed Mitt Romney getting literally 0% of the support of the black community. Now, that's probably not completely accurate, but really, as you mentioned, that's not the group that this campaign is so focused on right now. It is Latinos, and the president does have a few problems with that group. These are not easy days for Natalie Cruz.
Welcome.
Every night, a new place, a strange floor to sleep on.
Thank you for the risk that all of us take to be free.
Her food from the charity of churches. But this, she says, is her living, more than ever before, because she's telling the world what she is.
I'm not different than anybody else. I'm the same. I'm a human being just like anybody.
But her status to the U.S. government is illegal. So is Elazar Castellanos.
I have to clean toilets with my bare hand. I have to do nasty jobs.
And this is their answer to change that, riding around the country in this brightly painted bus with the words, "No papers, no fears." This started in Arizona, where those anti-immigration laws really ignited this debate. They'll end at the Democratic National Convention with a message for President Barack Obama. They don't believe he's done enough. President Barack Obama has made it easier for Tanya Anzueta. She'll qualify for a new work visa, recently announced by the president.
My parents are still in danger of being deported. I have friends who don't qualify. It's definitely not the thing that we're fighting for.
They are fighting with words. At events all across the country, telling some of the 11 million people like them to speak out, to rally the Latino community that can vote to demand action, which is why activist D.A. King believes the president took the steps he has 3.5 years into his term.
And he's hopeful that the Latino vote will push him over the edge. Let's make it clear. Barack Hussein Obama has no respect for this country, its rule of law, or its constitution.
He's not swayed by the president's record on deportations, almost 400,000 people forced out of the country, more than President Bush did. But it's a fact these activists say they're well aware of because of the fear it's caused in their communities. Their response in this election year, it's the politicians who should be afraid.
We're tired of so much injustice, and I made a decision that I'll ride, without papers and without fear.
She continued to Tennessee and to protest in front of the police, where she was arrested. She was eventually let go. Perhaps a sign of how far they've already come. The problem for the president is a lack of enthusiasm among Hispanic voters. To talk with me about that is Brent Wilkes. He is the executive director of the League of United Latin American Citizens that we all call LULAC. It is the oldest civil rights organization for Latinos in the country. Talk to me about this lack of enthusiasm. The polls show that Hispanics are less enthusiastic about the president than they were in 2008.
Well, I think there's a good reason for that. The Latino community was expectant of big things from President Barack Obama, and especially on immigration reform. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to deliver everything that, of course, we'd hoped that he would accomplish. And so, understandably, 4 years later, the president's had actually record deportations of immigrants, and yet hasn't been able to deliver on comprehensive immigration reform through a bill through Congress. Now, he did pass the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, which is something that's been helpful. But I think certainly there's some disappointment there, and lack of enthusiasm might be true. I just think it's perhaps, I think the enthusiasm is still there to go vote, but there's now an earnestness about the Latino community. They want to see some results. They're willing to, it looks, according to the polls at least, support Barack Obama again, but they do want to see some action on some of those key delivery points that they've been looking for.
The polls show they overwhelmingly 2-1 basically go for him over Mitt Romney. But talk to me about that action that he took, because he did as part of the campaign. He said he was going to do immigration reform, but he really only made one speech. This executive order to allow some people to stay in the country, that was 3.5 years into his term. Did he do that as a cheap political move to try and sway your voters?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that the president did want to get to comprehensive immigration reform, did make an effort to try to bring something before Congress. Unfortunately for us, he did it a little too late in his presidency, his first term, and the goodwill, the honeymoon, the mandate that he had when he was elected had already at that point been eroded considerably because of the effort to pass comprehensive health care reform, and then of course the effort to try to save the economy, and then with the Tea Party really having a huge turnout in the midterm elections in Congress, especially the House, of course, shifting to the Republican Party. He tried to bring immigration reform a little bit too late, and what we got was a stalemate in Congress. We couldn't move the bill.
Brent, thank you so much for joining us. It is going to be one of the key issues, and we've seen that at the convention. The very first time there was a keynote speech from a Latino elected leader, and he had the crowd on its feet. You're going to see more of that as the convention continues through its second day. Kamal.
Okay, talk to you later, Patty. Patty Culhane live at the DNC in Charlotte.